Oh, look at those hands up there, President. Do you have this in Romania, too? I don't know.
Yeah. I got the microphone.
Oh, boy.
If you allow me,
If I could only sell that, if I could only sell it. Who would like to ask? Should I take one of the killer networks that treat me so badly as fake news? Should I do that? Huh?
He's back. What did the testimony of my homie, James Comey, show me? A pile of baloney. I made a list. Number one, Comey leaked over a Trump tweet.
The president tweeted on Friday, after I got fired, that I better hope there's not tapes. I woke up in the middle of the night on Monday night, because it didn't dawn on me originally, that there might be corroboration for our conversation. There might be a tape. And my judgment was I needed to get that out into the public square. And so I asked a friend of mine to share the content of the memo with a reporter.
When I wake up in the middle of the night, I take a leak. I don't leak. In the hierarchy of honorable things to do, I go with tweeting over leaking. At least with a tweet, you know it's coming from Trump. For better or worse, Trump stands by his tweets. Comey hid behind a leak. He had his buddy drop it to the Times to protect himself. That's a weenie move. And I know weenie moves. Fact is, in all this, you suddenly realize that Trump is the more transparent of the two. He's abrasive, he's blunt, he makes his intent obvious. But Comey, he adopts an aw shucks Jimmy Stewart routine to mask his sneaky behavior. And lordy, it got thick.
I've seen the tweet about tapes. Lordy, I hope there are tapes. I don't know. You know, I don't want to make you sound like I'm Captain Courageous. I don't know whether, even if I had the presence of mind, I would have said to the president, sir, that's wrong. Again, maybe other people would be stronger in that circumstance, but that's how I conducted myself. I hope I'll never have another opportunity. Maybe if I did it again, I would do it better.
Felt like I was watching a combination of hee-haw and L.A. Law. All that was missing was a strand of hay sticking out of his mouth. And he's from Yonkers. That's New York. So to reiterate, Comey, kind of phony. Number two, was there obstruction of justice on the part of former Attorney General Loretta Lynch regarding the Hillary Clinton email investigation?
At one point, the Attorney General had directed me not to call it an investigation, but instead to call it a matter, which confused me and concerned me.
Oh, dear. It confused and concerned me, yet I still did it. What's with this guy? He always seems like he's trying to do the right thing while doing the wrong thing. And you gotta love that once again, Hillary reappears to ruin a Democrat's day. If it wasn't for her, there wouldn't be this Lynch thing. She's like my irritable bowel. She just never goes away. It reminds me of a movie.
She came from long ago.
Don't quit. Keep fighting. Stay in this race.
But just when you thought she had been defeated...
Why aren't I 50 points ahead, you might ask?
She came back.
I take responsibility for every decision I made, but that's not why I lost.
2 elections. 2 losses. It wasn't enough.
It really is painful.
Blame It All Studios presents 2017 Return of the Swamp Queen. Coming to a Democratic Party near you.
Good. All right. Number 3. Was there obstruction of justice on the part of Trump? If Trump never asked him to shut down an investigation, it's not obstruction. Trump's just being Trump. He's no flying nun, but he's not Darth Vader either. He's like a mix. He's a nun Vader. Or he's a flying Darth. Number 4, Comey doesn't feel very well.
A very disturbing thing, very concerning, whole lot of personal pain for me. That gave me a queasy feeling.
The guy certainly takes the job to heart. I think our new sponsor might be able to help you, Jimmy.
Does your boss confuse you?
Shifting explanations confused me and increasingly concerned me.
Do you feel the need to leak?
I asked a friend of mine to share the content of the memo with a reporter.
Does he make your belly hurt?
Look, this was terrible. It makes me mildly nauseous.
It may be time to try Queasy. Queasy battles the butterflies in your belly so you can shake off that icky feeling and do your job.
He had repeatedly told me I was doing a great job, and he hoped I would stay.
Queasy might just save your career. Some side effects may include nightmares, paranoia, insomnia, itchiness, and tendency to leak. Don't contact Columbia Law professors while taking Queasy. Talk to your doctor to see if Queasy is right for you.
Nice. All right. And last but not least, remember that report suggesting the Trump campaign colluded with Russia using electronic surveillance? Was that true, James Comey?
The challenge, and I'm not picking on reporters about writing stories about classified information, is the people talking about it often don't really know what's going on, and those of us who actually know what's going on are not talking about it. And we don't call the press to say, hey, you got that thing wrong about this sensitive topic. We just have to leave it there.
Or leak it. Anyway, so that's my list. Believe me, it's not easy to take hours of complex testimony and break it down to just the main points. I dare anyone to do a better job.
No collusion, no obstruction. He's a leaker.
I stand corrected. All right, let's welcome tonight's guest. He is bright and funny, like a glowworm that slides up your pant leg. Author of the great new book, Mean Dads for a Better America. I bought it. Comedian Tom Shalhoub. She's so bright, she never needs a reading light. Legal analyst and former federal attorney, Emily Compagno. She's as sassy as I am gassy. Co-host of the Fox News specialist, Catherine Timpf. And Lake Michigan is his bathtub. Former bodyguard and my massive sidekick, Tyrus. All right, Emily, you are the lawyer here, so I have to ask you: could it be that in fact it's Comey that's in trouble now because of the leak and stuff? He leaked government. Isn't that government material? If I'm stupid.
Yeah. No, you're not.
Don't laugh.
Absolutely. Specifically, there's a code. It's 18 U.S.C. 641. It specifically prohibits conveying, among other things, documents and records, any type of record, off the property and to anything without authority. And he faces up to 10 years in jail for this.
Wow.
It's totally serious. And regardless of the legal definition of leak, which I support you if you try to define that. The reality is he broke that code by, without authority, bringing those documents. It doesn't matter if it was his own record. It's a government record, and it's a thing of value of the United States, what the code specifically addresses as well.
What if it's just his diary, though? What if it's just his diary? He wakes up in the middle of the night, writes a little diary.
Well, it's one thing if he has a little book by his bed, but this was on a government-issued computer with government resources, and that's what matters as well. And it was about a government meeting. So everything, and remember, it's a thing of value. So everything has a kind of traceable backplay to his conversation with Trump and to his position as then head of the FBI. So it matters, and they're going to pursue it. I mean, they mentioned it today. They're totally pursuing this.
Don't you, Tom, when you watched it, didn't you find Comey to be an interesting character? Like it was almost, he was like from an Aaron Sorkin TV show. Like he had the folk. He was designed to be in a TV drama that the media loves.
I love the way he closed his testimony. Mary, do you know me, Mary? I'll throw a lasso around the moon. Merry Christmas, Mr. Potter. Doggone it, you. Was that him? Was that?
I think that was him.
I think that was him, yeah.
Is that Jimmy Stewart?
Well,
I don't know.
You gotta ask.
What was your take home from the Comey?
Why was he so scared all the time?
Exactly.
So I was really worried when I had to go alone in the office with the president. I don't know why. What's he so scared about? My favorite question was from Marco Rubio, who said, "Why didn't you speak up?"
Yeah.
And he said, "Well, I guess good idea. I should have done that."
I guess maybe, he's worried because he's so intimidated by the president. It's not like he's ever worked for two other presidents. It's like this is what he does for a living. He should have asked. That's all he could have done. Trump is probably I've talked to him briefly. I know that, like, if you say, hey, I can't do that, he's like, oh, okay, I had to ask. He always asks. He always, like, asks questions that, like, nobody's asked before, just to see if it happens. He might get somewhere with that. All right, Tyrus. My theory is that Comey was a victim of new management. This has happened to me. Somebody comes in, they reevaluate, and then I'm gone. I have a little box with all my stuff in it.
Oh, yeah, that's me in Impact Wrestling, too. Honestly, man, I guess you guys haven't talked to the police a lot in your lifetime. When the guy's being really quiet, coy and asking afraid and kind of he's throwing things up there for you, and then you come back aggressive like, haha, I showed him. That means the bad cop's coming. Yes. And Comey did a very good job playing good cop in this whole thing. He didn't really know what to do, and he's just basically throwing volleyballs up for our president to hang himself with. And that's kind of what he says something, don't tweet. You're good. But then he's got to come in and say, now he's proven. Now he says he'll testify under oath. Right. Now he's boxed in with the tape because Comey's like, gee Willikers, I hope there's a tape. Well, I'll let you know there's a tape. Where is it? Well, I don't know. Now, if you look at that, who's lying? Mm-hmm. This guy's under oath saying, I hope there's a tape, and our president got sucked into that. The only person who should be talking is his lawyer.
I mean, it's interesting. If he hadn't tweeted about, I wonder if there's tapes, there might not
we wouldn't be here.
We wouldn't even have a hearing.
No more tweeting.
Yeah, no more tweeting, even though I enjoy it immensely. It makes him the most transparent leader in the history of the world. You know, Kat, we work in broadcasting. Yes. And I've noticed an amazing example. This is a prime example of confirmation bias. If you start out seeing Trump as evil, this is going to underline your beliefs. If you see him as not evil, then you're going to see that maybe, he's just exactly how you thought. Isn't that how this... Yes. No matter what, no one's minds are changed.
Everybody watched this hearing, and they're so happy for their guy, whoever their guy was. Yes. They're like, the conservatives are insane. Trump is totally toast after this. And the people are saying, oh, the liberals are insane. This vindicates him totally. We've lost this thing now where it's possible to be in the middle whatsoever. This isn't really good. The collusion kind of takes that apart a little bit, especially if Trump was pushing to investigate. But the obstruction, again, really hard to meet that definition. But still, it's weird when you think about the fact this really is kind of all Trump's fault.
But no, but it's because...
If he would have not...
But we elected a bull in a china shop, and this is the broken dishes. This is it. And all these hearings is a guy coming up with a broom going, he broke another one. But it's not illegal.
Right, exactly.
It's not illegal. And you know what? I'll take this if he conquers ISIS.
And we can all agree it's very entertaining to watch.
Exactly.
There's no one else I'd rather see give a press conference than Trump. Yeah, but on an entertainment level, come on, now you're just lying.
No, I find it disgusting. Honestly, I'm tired of looking at it.
Oh, really?
On both sides, Democrats and Republicans, like we should be focused on other things in this country.
Well, you got a point there. You have a good point. We have other things that we have to deal with. Things. Do you have something very important? Because I got to
go. The genius of Trump is he speaks in. Do you know the drawing of the old lady, but it looks like a beautiful lady?
Yeah.
When Trump speaks, he speaks in those pictures.
Yes,
so Republicans see the beautiful woman, and Democrats see the old hag.
Yeah, it's like the psychological. It's a psychological picture where you think you see a woman's profile, but it's two lamps.
Yes, exactly.
Remember that? That's in every psych high school book. I don't see either. I see Satan. Anyway, later in the show, are you getting fat? I am. That and other things we're going to blame Trump on. But first, how did the media cover the Comey hearings? Lordy, I hope there's tape of it. So, what's the difference between the Democratic Party and the mainstream media? I don't know. I was hoping you did. Take a look at media's reaction to Comey's testimony.
Atmospherically, big picture, this is still a horrendous day for this president.
I think what Jim Comey did was provide more evidence for the case of obstruction by the Trump White House without using that legal word.
The former director of the FBI says possible obstruction of justice by the president is almost certainly on the table. It's one of the big shoes to drop.
Oh, they look so great together. Surely, Rachel will agree with me that the big, surprising, substantive reveal was about former Attorney General of the United States, Loretta Lynch.
The big surprising substantive reveal today was about the current Attorney General of the United States, Jeff Sessions.
Okay, I guess. We watched two different things. Anyway, now I can predict how her show's going to be for the next month. But there was one chap who realized the collusion conspiracy theory seemed to end on Thursday.
The assumption of the critics of the president, of his pursuers, you might say, is that somewhere along the line in the last year, the president had something to do with colluding with the Russians. What came apart this morning was that theory. Where's the there?
Where is the there? Where is the there? No one ever says that. They're cubed. So, anyway, how about CNN, who put 65 people on the air at the same time?
On the road, does that not hold water?
Sounds balanced to me. My God. I turn that on, Tom, sometimes just like to make some noise to scare prowlers.
It reminds me of remember that old kitty cat commercial where they had like 11 cats and 10 bowls, and they each pushed the kitty cat's face up? They should have one less comment than commentator and see who gets pushed off the edge.
Musical commentators. They should all start each panel with one short chair, and all the other panelists have to run around, and Don Lemon's screaming. Thoughts on the media treatment?
Listen, did you see my leg when he was talking, Chris Matthews?
Yeah.
I was thrilled.
Yes.
But I can't believe he admitted that the collusion is an illusion.
Ooh, nicely done. Collusion is an illusion. What do you think, Emily? What do you think of the press?
I feel like it reminds me of during the actual election when people would go out in the streets and take surveys and then switch which candidate was the one who said that policy. And people automatically would say, oh, I hate that policy. Oh, I love that policy.
Right.
But it would actually be the opposite driver. So
Yeah.
no matter what we put out there, like you said earlier, it didn't matter. They were going to be all over it. And I think it's unfortunately ridiculous, obviously, those kind of rookie mistakes that we're seeing with no apology whatsoever, of course. No ownership of it.
Yeah. What do you think, Kat?
Everyone does it, though.
Of course.
If this were Loretta Lynch and Obama, and I hope you can let this Hillary thing go.
Yeah.
I don't think that we'd all be sitting here going, what? Yeah, what? We would, but of course.
I know I would,
Right.
Kat.
We're all very consistent,
Man.
fair and balanced all the time. But no, I mean, if you have Trump, Comey saying that you have Trump saying, yeah, investigate this, then maybe he probably,
Right.
was more likely he didn't do anything wrong. I mean,
Yeah.
But then again, both sides are saying that Comey's telling the truth when it helps them, but he's such a liar when it hurts them.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, we need to just all
Chill out.
look at things objectively.
Yeah,
There's so many armchair quarterbacks, though, I feel like we're seeing. Like, every single one of those hosts and anchors have all of a sudden become an attorney and a
We're
political
all lawyers.
analyst, too.
I Googled it on Wikipedia. I looked it up. Lawyer, totally got it now.
Yes.
There you go. It's all summed up.
Everybody always says, as a former prosecutor,
Yeah.
Tyrus, as a former wrestler.
I still wrestle.
You still wrestle?
And armchair. I've been asking for an armchair. You guys know every week I get this. Why is it that I can't get an armchair?
It's not going to happen.
She got a show. You got a show. All I want is an armchair.
Well,
hashtag armchair.
You know why?
Yeah, I do.
It's because that's the outnumbered chair.
Yeah, it's the left out chair.
What do you think about the media?
I don't
Yeah.
anymore. I don't. I just if I wanna look for stuff to make fun of Donald Trump, I'd watch CNN, MSNBC. If I wanted the stuff to support Trump, I'd watch us. It just everyone has their own stake in the game right now.
Right.
So the truth is kind of somewhere in the middle. I think CNN has put so much emphasis on finding something with this Russian thing.
Right.
And there's just not a lot to it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this, like I said, we have Mueller's doing his thing, and they're eventually going to come out. When that comes out, even then, when he says, "Well, it's suspicious, but there's nothing," it still won't be over.
They set the bar at Watergate, though.
Yeah,
They set the bar at Watergate. So if you set it that high, it's going to end up looking like nothing. So liberal media is partially to blame for that.
Exactly.
Unless-
They're hypnotized by their own bias.
Unless you got Putin and Trump sitting there laughing together, pushing buttons.
Yes.
That's the only way this thing
Yes,
ends
with
well for
hookers
them.
on their laps.
Yes.
I think the media is stuck on one weird truth. Trump is not like them. The media really liked President Obama because they were like each other. They can't Obama is like your cool professor, and Trump is like your scary boss, and they just never can get over that. They never will. All right, we got to move on. Up next, terror strikes the UK. Who needs horror movies when you've got ISIS? Now, I used to love monster movies, mummies, werewolves, vampires, Leif Garrett. At least the audience knows that. I couldn't get enough, but what I really loved were zombies. I really loved zombie films, especially the early ones where they moved really slow, because even if you could outrun them, they were still scary, because sooner or later they would catch up to you, just like puberty. Then later, modern zombie movies had corpses that picked up the pace. The speed made them extra scary. Remember the remake of Dawn of the Dead 2004? Holy crap! But then, something happened to me. Maybe 15 years ago, I stopped liking zombie films. It was like, I don't need these anymore. I don't need that thrill anymore. And now I know why. Who needs zombie movies when you have Islamic extremism? Think about it. How is ISIS any different from a band of zombies? They're dead inside, consumed by a virus that leaves them ravenous for the flesh of human misery. It's why I don't understand the appeal of The Walking Dead. Islamic extremism is The Walking Dead. Actually, they're worse. The Walking Dead, they're classic slow zombie. Extremists, they're the zombies from 28 Days Later. You can see it. You can see it in the footage from last week's attack on London Bridge or the attack in Iran. They move fast, trying to inflict as much harm as possible. These are not human beings. They're zombies. So imagine them as actual zombies. Divorce their actions from doctrine, and you know what the right response is. You have to find them and kill the zombies, period. Except maybe in Europe they'll have a zombie rights march. And perhaps a documentary called The Zombie Next Door. After all, one of the attackers from last week was known by police and was in a documentary called The Jihadis Next Door. How does that happen? How can we know something lurks among us that wants to kill us and still let it roam free? Maybe it's because the incentive isn't to stop them, but stop you. It's the fear of being branded a racist, the scarlet letter that trumps all scarlet letters. Blow a whistle on a terrorist, you might be a hero, but if you're wrong, you're Islamophobic. And so our actions are driven not by self-preservation, but preservation of reputation. It doesn't help that the media often conflates folks who offer solutions to fighting terrorism with bigotry. The result, you have more terror attacks. No wonder we see the same zombie movie over and over again. We're greenlighting the sequels. Tyrus, to me, life is a horror movie now. I don't need horror films.
It is, bro. It really is. Life is a horror movie. Straight up, and there's no happy ending. Everyone dies.
Yes, that's true. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, that was somber, right?
Yeah.
To go to your point, which you're 100% right, unfortunately, until more terrible things happen from guys who've been spotted 4 and 5 times, have been turned in, before someone will be like, you know what? I'll just be that bigot and tell on your ass. I mean, that's just, oh, Tyrus, you're an Islamic hater because you turned this guy in. Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm not getting blown up tonight, so I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
So it needs to be, but unfortunately, it's going to take. I mean, that guy he had a TV show.
I know.
Telling you what he's going to do.
Yeah.
As soon as he get a chance to do it, he's in the camera like this. I'm coming for you.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, well, he has a right to say what he wants to say. Bull, rap is that? Sorry, you're going in.
Yeah, exactly. True. Emily, how will we solve this problem if the population is scared of coming forward?
The solidarity that everyone feels with these infinite victims, unfortunately, it needs to somehow be galvanized, and I don't understand why it's not being galvanized into support for this proactive attack on ISIS, for economic and diplomatic and military and at all levels of fronts against ISIS. I don't understand how, again, the solidarity is not automatically transferred into that kind of inertia and that support. And I also don't understand why, as we and many people consider this globe our home and, borders are ephemeral, well, then why isn't an attack in the UK an attack on us?
Right.
I mean, how close does it have to get until it's our home base? Because from what I'm hearing, especially from the left, then that's your home too. Mm-hmm. So why aren't we galvanized?
Yeah, that's true. What do you think, Kat?
Well, there's a lot of things that make us different than the Europe. We have a better screening system. Muslims integrate better here. That being said, there's a huge problem with the political correctness type thing. Something I wondered about Manchester that I don't really think has been answered was, so they were wearing fake suicide vests, right? Was he wearing it in the van he was driving?
Yeah.
Because I know if I'm like in an Uber and I see somebody, if I think it's a suicide vest, I'll be like, hey, I think this dude has a suicide vest on.
Yeah.
I'm all about tolerance, but when you if I think I might die, then I'm a little more worried about not dying.
Yeah.
And I don't understand how that's not more of a thing.
Yeah, that's true. Tom, you can't be tolerant when you're dead.
Yeah, it's true, Greg. You know, I still haven't gotten over the fact that this is the outnumbered couch.
Yes.
Does your show have a budget?
No. Everything here is being used by another show, including my pants.
Those half-eaten.
These are Lou Dobbs' slacks that I'm wearing.
Why
They're his slack shorts. They're Dobbs slack shorts.
Well, it's true. I loved your monologue, Greg. And, you know, I can't watch drama shows that involve Islamic terrorism because increasingly they feel they have to show both sides, and I can't stand it. I can't watch it.
Exactly. In fact, I hear the new Mummy movie is it's got this whole thing about how it's the West.
Yeah.
That's at fault, and I'm so tired of it. It always turns out it's not. Oh no, it's a case of mistaken identity. It's like the Law and Order twist. Oh, it's not really that guy. It's the rich white architect who did it. It's always the architect. Later in the show, is the president to blame for your weight gain? But first, Trump dumps the Paris Accord and the world freaks out, except for one guy. I'll talk to him next.
The United States will withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord.
He floored the accord. Reaction is still pouring in from around the world following the president's announcement the U.S. would withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord. Here's MSNBC's Brian Williams.
A dark speech, and as you go through it, more like 4 or 5 dark speeches.
CNN's Fareed Zakaria.
It's a very dramatic, symbolic blow. As I've said, the United States has almost resigned from its role as leading the world.
A young Chicago resident. Dan Rather.
It's a momentous moment and a very ominous moment. History is going to punish Donald Trump for this decision. And the question is, how much will it punish our own country?
A concerned French citizen. A Brooklyn resident. A local law enforcement officer. And a gentleman from the South Pacific. But there is one man on this earth who thinks Donald Trump was right to get out of this deal. And he's here with me right now. He's Bjorn Lomborg, the president of the Copenhagen Consensus Center. All right. Was Mr. Trump right to get out of this particular deal?
Yes. Fundamentally, it would have done almost nothing for climate, and it would have been incredibly costly. So getting out doesn't actually do anything bad about climate, but it saves us a lot of money. So absolutely. But we do need another way to tackle global warming.
Yeah, and that's I find you have solutions, and I've read a lot of your stuff, and I urge you, if you're interested in finding out more about Bjorn, read up on it. Go to PragerU. You've got like a little segment up there that explains this stuff. You're about prioritizing, and it's a very interesting thing. You look and you say, if we took all this money, this is what we could do, and we could solve almost every world problem.
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of things we need to recognize. First, we're going to spend on Paris about $1 trillion to $2 trillion a year for the rest of the century. And if we did that, if we did everything we'd promised in Paris, we would reduce temperatures by the end of the century by about 0.3 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
So in a century, after spending $100 trillion, we wouldn't be able to tell the difference. That's not really a solution. That's just wasting money. And of course, $100 trillion can solve pretty much everything else. If you ask most people in the world, what do they care about? Well, I mean, not surprisingly, they would like their kids to stop dying from easily curable infectious diseases, get food, get education. You know, it's simple stuff. And we know how to do it. And then, of course, we should also fix global warming, but we should fix it smartly.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. President Obama and others have said that if you were pulled out of this accord, you're endangering children. I would argue that by skipping the priorities and spending $100 trillion, all of those things that you mentioned actually put more people at harm. So you could tell the person who's saying, I'm for the accord, you're killing children. That's what I would do.
No. And there's certainly, I think you can say it more diplomatically.
You know me.
But basically point out, look, wouldn't you actually want to save real kids right now instead of helping them incredibly ineffectively in 100 years? So the real argument here is to bring people back and say, how are you going to solve this problem? You know, people think that solar and wind is going to take over anytime soon. And I don't know if you know, Al Gore's own climate advisor, Jim Hansen, says, if you believe that, that's a little bit like believing the Tooth Fairy or the Easter Bunny.
Right.
No, it's not going to happen.
No.
Right now, the world gets 0.6% of its energy from solar and wind. And in 2040, a quarter of a century from now, we'll get less than 3%. So solar and wind is just trivial for the next 25 years. Now, it may solve the problem in the long run, but that's why we need to invest a lot more in research and development in green energy.
Exactly. And do you feel that private companies are probably going to figure this out before the government steps in?
Well,
you need both?
Yes. And one thing you need to remember, it's really hard to be a private company to invest in stuff that's only going to work in 25 or 40 years. Because once it starts working, your patent is run out, right?
That's true.
And that's one of the arguments. That's why we have people working on a cure for cancer in public universities. We want to fund stuff that eventually will be to the advantage of mankind, but we should do it smartly. That's what, Bill Gates actually has said, I'm going to spend a lot more money on research and development so that we'll get green energy to be so cheap that everybody will want it rather than we have to push them.
Are you a nuke guy? Do you like nuclear power?
So nuclear, a lot of people like to sort of annoy environmentalists and say you should go for nuclear. Nuclear has some benefits. Certainly, if you look at, Germany just shut down all their nuclear power plants because they were, I don't know, worried about a tsunami? What the hell? They've already paid for them. They have to decommission it at some point. Right now, they were just providing CO2-free energy incredibly cheaply. That's stupid. But the problem is building new ones turn out to be fairly expensive.
Okay, I have one last question for you because we got to move on. How do you feel about the hysterical response? How can we reach consensus when one side says the other side is so evil?
It's really, really hard to have this conversation when some people are saying this is the end of the world, and some others say it's not happening. But of course, the real point is the UN climate panel tells us in the 2070s, so when we've seen a lot of warming, if we don't do anything, the cost of global warming will be somewhere between 0.2 and 2% of global GDP. It's a problem. It's not the end of the world. And so, like all other problems, we should fix it coolly.
You know what the end of the world is? The end of the world. That's the asteroids, buddy. Asteroids.
It's coming?
I think so.
Oh, no.
I'm preparing. I have an asteroid suit that I wear at night. It's basically a shorty robe. That says super asteroid guy. All right. Thanks, Bjorn. Check out Bjorn Lundberg's work. It's amazing. Copenhagen Consensus. Go to PragerU. And your mind will expand. All right, still ahead. First, there was the freshman 15, and now some celebrities say they're putting on the Trump 10. How dumb is that? Does Donald Trump fatten your rump? As whiny Trump haters keep blaming their weight gain on him, now the media is trying to back up this stupid claim. They conclude that if studies show that stress makes people eat more, then Donald Trump should make you eat more because he's so stressful. Which brings us to a new segment called... Yes, it's a false flab. I thought it was clever when I thought of it a week ago. Anyway... So-called experts suggest Trump-induced stress levels may affect the way more than just minor weight gain. One biology professor claims that Trump's stress could cause evolutionary consequences. Yes, Trump could permanently alter human genes. Professor Peter Ward says that the stress that Americans are going through now because of Trump is similar to the stress felt by people who've been in combat or abusive relationships, and that leads to permanent evolutionary after effects. So dealing with Trump is like fighting the Taliban or living with a wife beater. We went to the professor for further comment.
I use too much.
Well, that was cute. Emily, does everybody just need to calm down?
Yes, and this makes sense why Hollywood is so skinny, right? Everyone there, they have no stressless lives, nothing to worry about. But it also is interesting to me why all of these people who are kind of clamoring for this, well, where's the same outrage and where's the same kind of focus on what 80% of our medical treatment that is basically treatable on the preventative side? I mean, there's a lot of other things that make you fat, and I love, by the way, that it says too, stress makes you eat more. No, you make you eat more. Stress doesn't make you do anything. It's how you react to it.
Kat, if stress made people eat more, you'd weigh 500 pounds.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm like, geez. Also, I don't get, why are these people saying this? Do you think Trump is going to feel bad about it? Like, oh no, Barbara Streisand said she's getting a little bigger. I better stop everything I'm doing and everything I want for the country. If I were Trump, I would see this and be like, damn, I am powerful.
Yes.
This is amazing. And I am sure that's exactly what he thinks.
Yeah, it's like, I would love that. It's a superpower, Tom. I can make you eat more.
Yeah.
Well, what about the professor?
Yes.
He says Trump is altering people's genes.
I know.
Tell me that's not going to go to his head.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, I'm altering the whole course of human history. Oh, I better stop. It's not working?
They should do a Marvel comic on this guy. Seriously. What's the superpower to change genes over time?
He's going to go give a speech saying, okay, we're going to keep Obamacare. I heard Barbara Streisand gained 10 pounds and it's just too tough. Going to let it go. Come on, shut up.
I bet you they're going to file lawsuits. It'll be a class action.
What?
You know what? The same scientist, if that's his real name, that put these things together, the same ones that come up with colorful names when people gain weight. They say they're thick or they're big boned or they're genetic.
Yes.
Or, he's not smart, he's special. It's the same. It's the same thing. Sometimes you're just chubby and dumb and you eat too much. It has nothing to do with who the hell is the president.
True.
What drives me crazy is now you don't need research to bolster your point. This was like the stuff that we read that are the basic of this article, of this segment, are articles that were just like, this could be the case. We don't have any proof.
Some experts say.
Some experts say. Also, they can make these accusations, but you could make this, say radical Islam, based on the previous segment, that creates actual stress in your life. So therefore, if you said radical Islam makes people fat, people would say you're crazy, right? But with Trump, no, that's legit.
Well, plus, in my experience, stress makes me eat less. I'm too nervous to eat because my stomach. Greg, you have a nervous stomach, do you not?
I have a very nervous stomach. It's not even like part of my body anymore. I'm not even sure I have a stomach. I think that somebody took it because when I eat, it just passes everything. Final thoughts up next, and a special extra segment just for you.
If you'll be in New York City and would like free tickets to be part of our studio audience, email gregtix@foxnews.com.
By the way, go to Twitter immediately after tonight's show. We've got a special gift for you, an after-dinner mint for this wonderful meal of a show. I'll tweet out a link to my monologue from last week's show that didn't air on Kathy Griffin. It's awesome. It should be up there the moment this show ends. But first, Tom Shalhoub's got a new book out, which I actually read. It's called Mean Dads for a Better America. Tom, why should everybody buy this book?
Well, I look back at the 70s, Greg, and dads were meaner.
Yes.
Moms were tougher. Bullies were rougher.
Yes.
But somehow we turned out okay, right?
Did we turn out okay?
I think we did.
I don't think you did.
Look, great America. This audience, you guys have a mean dad? I bet you did, right?
Tyrus had the worst dad.
No, yeah, he was invisible.
That's it. No, I was scared of my dad, and I laugh about it, and we tell stories about it in the book. My mom was tough too. She would she'd give me the old lessons, like punch him back. If a kid bullied me, punch him back.
Yeah,
so I punched him back.
So what you're saying is when you need bullies, it's not because people should bully. It's because when a bully teaches you to fight back.
That's right, because when we're adults and we have to interact with people at work, like you, Greg, sometimes people bully you at work.
Oh, I know. I felt that. I felt that. It's how I got Dobbs. Dobbs, I walk down the hall, things Dobbs does to me.
Yeah, but you got to, I mean, it helped me. The way I grew up, it helped me be an adult, and I think we can learn something from our mean dads.
All right, well, that's beautiful. I actually read the book, and it's compulsive when you're reading it. I kept reading it, and it speaks to me because I'm a 70s kid. So it's just a fun book. I urge everybody to purchase this immediately. All right. Thanks to Tom Shalhoub, Emily Campagno, Captain, Tyrant, Dr. Bjorn Lomberg, our studio audience. I'm Greg Gutfeld. I love you, America.